Shalom and welcome everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com. Bringing you today's daily Sefer Yetzirah lesson. Today is lesson number 13. And of course, we dedicate all of these classes for the safety, the health, the well-being of everybody out there who's being exposed to these troublesome times. So God bless us all that we act with wisdom, proper behavior, to do what's necessary to safeguard ourselves and, of course, to safeguard everyone else. So, with no further ado, let's jump right in. We are in Mishnah 3 of the first chapter of our book. Remember, Sefer Yetzirah means formation. What are we forming? We are taking what we can call, using the Star Wars term, force, and materializing it into form. What for? What purpose? Well, every purpose. We must recognize that our entire universe, all reality as we understand it, remember the emphasis is on how we understand it. We don't see the big picture. We only can perceive the universe within the context of our personal human setting. This will never change as long as we are human. And human, those of you pay attention here, KosherTorah, you know I don't necessarily define human with the limitation of being applicable to our physical Homo sapien bodies. I'm talking about our higher, truer, pure nature. Because what it means to be human is far more than just physical. We are conduits for higher realities. Our entire physical universe is, if you will, only a vessel for higher energies, which these energies literally exist within us. Think of it, if you will, like a bottle of water. Now, you all know what water is. You all know what a bottle is. This universe is the bottle. What shape is the water? You know, water doesn't have a shape. It is fluid. It flows and will take the shape of anything into which it flows. Now, what is the actual nature of water? What color is water? Now, you and I, of course, we know water, so well, it's clear. But wait a second. I have a bottle here on my desk, not really, just give an example, and it looks like the water inside is green. And I look in the other bottle over there on the other side of the desk, and it looks blue. And of course, the wise people that you are, you're going to say, well, Rabbi, that is because the water is in a green glass bottle or a blue glass bottle. And the color is really only in the glass. And I go, you're finally beginning to understand. It's the same thing with this type of energy of which we speak. When we talk of energy, of course, we are describing the energy, the force, as these 10 sephirot. And yet we have delineated them. We have gone into the energy and said that there are different, if you will, materializations, manifestations of this energy. We referred to them in previous classes as being right column, left column, center column. We use Hebrew terms to describe these things. We call it Hesed or Din or Rachamim. Others will call the right column Hesed. Others will call the left column Gevurah. Now, these are expansive powers on the right, restrictive powers on the left. All right? Like breathing. You have a function which is necessary for life. Essentially, the entire universe breathes. Everything that we know has highs and lows. Everything exists almost in a wave function. That is the nature of energy. But now, when people come to understand or deal with, interact with the sephirot, as you know, there are 10 sephirot. And you will go into old Kabbalistic literature, in which there are those who will share and teach how to draw the energy, the force, through a specific sephirah with the intent that it materialize into this physical world in a precise, specific manner. Essentially, using our bottle metaphor, you're directing the flow of the water into a specific form, bottle, specific color, expression, to your specific interest or desire. Can this be done? Yes. Question, should it be done? Now that's always the moral question here. If you have the power to influence, to use the force, okay, question is not can you use it. Let's, for argument's sake, say you've learned your meditation and your spiritual practice as well, and you can. Now the question is, do you have the right to do so? For example, we are now, as we know, in troubled times. Many people are falling ill. Many are dying. If you, anyone, has the power to literally wave our magic hand and make illness disappear, does that give us the moral right to go into every hospital ward across the land, wave that magic hand of ours and make everybody well again? Now you could say, but yeah, that's the right thing to do. Okay, well, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't have divine wisdom to define or to decide who lives and who dies, who should be sick and who should be well. All right, those decisions, that wisdom is far beyond me. So therefore, my, in quote, knee-jerk reaction would be, of course, if I see somebody suffering, I want to heal them. But those who actually work with energy healing, people who really know what they're doing, have shared with me on many occasions that they themselves know, in spite of whatever power they can have, does not materialize in what they should do. And I said, well, explain. And I've seen this in Kabbalistic literature. I've seen this in the literature coming out of Oriental cultures as well. There seems to be an understanding of a higher way of things. We could call it, in our Torah traditions, one's goral or one's mazal. In the East, they might call it one's karma. It's all the same. Essentially, not every soul that gets ill is for that soul's harm or detriment. Sometimes it's for the soul's betterment. And for you or I or anyone else to intervene inappropriately actually neutralizes that betterment and causes harm instead of help. Now again, I'm just a regular old guy here. I certainly don't have the wisdom to ascertain one or the other. But I know that higher hand does. Whether it be God or through God's hands, what we call his messengers, malachim, angels, the higher soul of each and every individual has a wisdom and an understanding and a knowledge far beyond that which is we receive here in our physical understanding. That realm of higher wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, again, Chokhmah Bina Dat, that resides above. In Kabbalah speak, we call it the orot makifim. The lights are outside the vessel. Psychology, we call it in your unconscious. And again, I have spoken to healers who have told me that they will, in meditation and stuff, be in commune with one's higher self, which would direct them to either heal or not heal the individual soul based upon the individual mazal, goral, or karma of the person. That's a very deep and intense personal level of understanding the flow and movement of this energy. But it's vital for us if we ever wish to acquire that higher level of consciousness to be able to deal with these things. But that does not give you license to use whatever powers you have at will. That separates the great flow of things, and you essentially act in ways which are contradictory to the universal flow. You are doing strange actions or strange work. In Hebrew, we call that avodah zarah, otherwise known in religion as idolatry. You've broken the unity. That's bad. We don't do that. Rabbi Chaim speaks here about the Chamesh Keneged Hamesh. Let me read to you what he says in the commentary, and then let's elaborate on this in the short time we have left. Chamesh Keneged Hamesh, שהכוחות פועלים בסוד 5 חסדים בצד ימין, ו5 גבורות בצד שמאל. As we know, the human body, like we discussed in our previous, is itself a correlation to these higher energies. There is the Hasidim, which expand out, the Gvurot, which contract in. It's life itself. We, at a point in our lives, expand out in Hasidim to a point of maturity, and then we restrict inwards to a point of aging and growing old. That's just the way it is. That's life. But now, the text says, there is this singular covenant, which is in the middle. What is this singular covenant? Hu sod Ain Sof ha'me'ir mitgale behem. This is the secret of that which we call the Ain Sof, the infinite. Remember, we say that what we understand about God is only within our human experience. In Kabbalah speak, we call that the small face of God. Zoharic language, Ze'er Ampin, or Zat. The Bible speaks about this too. When Moses approached God and says, let me see your face. God said, no man can see my face and live. Why? Is God so ugly that you're going to drop dead? Is God so gorgeous that you can't? Sublime. No. Come on. This is all symbolic metaphor. The human experience, the human mind, conscious or unconscious, has its limitations of what we're able to grasp. Look today. We are jumping head after head after head, leaps and bounds, in what we are accomplishing with technological discoveries. And yet, many of them are kept in reserve. Many of them are kept quiet, classified. Why? Simply because knowing human psychology, there are many things that we're just not yet ready to handle. And things take time to get adjusted to. It's like a vessel. The original Kabbalistic definition of evil is called the shattering of the vessels, where in which there's too much light to go into the vessel, too much to fill, and it bursts. Think of a balloon. I want to have a water balloon, so I'm going to keep pumping in water, keep pumping in. What's going to happen eventually? It's going to explode. Can't handle it. Same thing with a bottle. I don't care if you have a metal thermos. If you keep pushing things in there, building pressure, eventually it's going to explode. So things have to be in proper balance. This is the secret of this Brit Yahid, mechuvan mean focused, placed specifically in the middle. Rab Chaim identifies this as the ultimate source of things, the ultimate reality of God, which in Hebrew we call the Ain Sof, without and it means the infinite. Ain Sof, mitgale ma'ir b'kol ha'partzufim, u'ma'ir b'malchut u'nokba dezah. This Ain Sof radiates in all the levels, in all the Sephirotic faces, every level, down to this physical world, which we call the kingdom, which is called the feminine, the mate of Zerampin. Zerampin is the higher face of our humanity. Its mate, Nok, Malchut, is us. Okay? Higher human beings, lower human beings, but we're all human beings. This is the secret of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. It wasn't like there was an actual guy named Adam and a girl named Eve. Rather, there was our human souls. And we had a higher materialization in a higher dimension called Adam, and then a lower dimensional expression in this physical world called Eve. And Adam and Eve were meant to be bonded together with knowledge. And Adam knew his wife Eve, meaning our higher and lower self are connected through the conduit in the center. That place called the covenant. We call that the union of the right and the left at the realms of mind, Chochmah Bina, which materializes that which only exists as an expression of unity, but not of itself, called Dat, knowledge. The place of knowledge is expressed with us in the tongue. This is the secret of that place of unity. All right? Rab Chaim here quotes even the famous Patach Eliyahu prayer. Antu tekshilon mityahedlon. You are the one that binds and brings all together. The Ain Sof is in the middle. All right? This is the secret. Okay. Let's elaborate. As we know, we have, as it says here, the two covenants, the tongue and the male organ. Now, curious about both. That which unites in the tongue is an expression of communication. We went into the whole Tashma Tahazeh stuff in our last class. When I want to communicate with you like I'm doing right now, I speak. My speech, the communication, is what builds the bridge between you and I, and together builds a meeting of minds and ideas, which will then guide us to action. Now, that is the higher union. It's called a covenant. What is a covenant? A covenant is something that binds two things together. So the tongue is an expression, it's a metaphor of that which binds the intuition and intellect of the mind and expresses it externally. Take a look below. The male organ. The female organ's the same in that respect. What is it? It, in the male body, is a protrusion from the flesh, just like the tongue is. And it is the source of creation. Not only is the sexual organs corresponding to Yesod, that libido energy, it is the materialization, the projection out of that creative energy. So, for those of you who know a little bit about psychology, you understand sex as an act begins in the mind, right? You can have sexual stimulation to your genitalia, but it's not going to do much unless it starts to connect thoughts in the head. Thoughts in the head is what we call today getting horny. Nothing wrong with that. It's all kadosh, as long as the yichud, the bound, the covenant, is in a proper state of alignment and balance. That's why sex is always energy. And proper sexual alignment is proper energetic alignment. Energetic alignment, sexual alignment, it's all the same. This is why you have all our, sexual prohibitions, not just in our Torah tradition, but pretty much in all cultures around the world. Because promiscuity, going from one partner to the next, to the next, to the next, takes the energy, which needs to be in a state of harmony and balance, and literally just throws it out there. It's kind of like if you took your bottle with water and you're just shaking it all over the place. That's not really a good way to take a drink and use what it's worth. So this is the understanding and the reason why these things exist within us. And again, remember we said about the hands? Take a look at the human body. Remember we said we learn from the human body? The hands are uniquely placed that we can, when they're low, down below, they correspond to the genitalia. And we could use the hands in a very erotic way of arousing genitalia and sexual energy. I think we all know that, at least I hope. But at the same time, we could use the hands in a higher way, corresponding to the mouth. And specifically, you will see that when we give a blessing, if you remember from the famous passage in the Torah, when Aharon and his children are commanded to bless the children of Israel, they raise their hands. Now you see a whole bunch of people doing weird stuff with their hands. The way that the hands are supposed to be placed, all right? Some will say, like the Mr. Spock thing, live long and prosper thing. And they say that you put your hands, some people put their hands like this, some people put their hands like that. According to the Kabbalah, the right way to place your hands is like this, up against your face, and not just like that in the old ways, but completely wide to get the Hasidim on the right, the Hasidim on the left, and they would place their hands like this, opposite the face, and then have the covenant of the tongue echo and reverberate through the fingers of the hand. The fingers of the hand correspond with the tongue, and they create a conduit of energy through which come the words Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishamarecha, Ya'er Hashem panav alecha v'yachnecha, Yisah Hashem panav alecha v'yisim lecha, Shalom. And we can even point to the hands itself. Look at all of the joints on the hands. Let's count it real quick. I know we're running over. Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishamarecha. Ye'er Hashem panav alecha v'chunecha. Yisa Hashem panav alecha v'sim lecha. The palm. Shalom. This is the secret of the power. Hands, tongue, genitalia. To create pure, proper energy and to allow its flow, the Ain Sof, the source of all, to come through its proper vessels to us. Big secret of the formation of the reality of our worlds. Let's conclude on that note today. Ariel Bar Tzadok, KosherTorah School at KosherTorah.com. Got a lot to offer you online. Check us out. See you soon. Shalom. Stay well.